Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Big news for you today. Antonio Conte talks about a Premier League return are set to begin and intensify. What will that do, though, to the other clubs that have been linked with him over the past 6 to 12 months? Of course, Tottenham famously in the summer almost had a deal done, sealed, signed, and delivered to bring him to White Hart Lane. Arsenal heavily linked at the beginning of the season, and Manchester United in recent weeks. But Newcastle are now emerging as one of the favourites to land him. Well, Antonio Conte is one of the favourites to join Newcastle as their next manager, with Steve Bruce's job looking less and less safe as the days go by. Of course, lots of transfer news surrounding Newcastle incoming. The likes of Conor Gallagher and Anthony Martial heavily linked with potential to St. James's Park. Of course, with the Antonio Conte news as well, maybe a Man United target being taken away from them by the new might and power of Newcastle. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the same time has been slammed in the media today by footballing legend Danny Blin, of course, the father of ex-Man United player Daley Blin. We're going to delve into that in a little bit more detail. Take your calls on the packed lunch today as well. But please make sure you're smashing the like button. Very important to the Football Terrace that you're hitting that like button. You're sharing this stream across your social media platforms as well. A note to a lot of people, where loads more of you turn on the bell notifications. So you subscribed, you've got bell notifications turned on. But we got an update from YouTube yesterday. Only like 40% of you actually have your app set up for notifications. So where you're clicking the bell for the terrace, but your app isn't set up to send you notifications. That's why some of you are not getting it. So around 40 to 50% will not get notifications, even though you've clicked the bell. So go into your settings and allow notifications on YouTube if you want those to come through. If you don't want them from YouTube, sign up to our notifications group chat. The link for that is in our description below. You'll see it next to the big green tick in the description. So go and get signed up to that right now. We're going to open the lines for you a bit later. I want to take your steer on this as well. Like, one of the things we want to do a lot more on the terrace is give you, the members, and you, the super chatters, the opportunity to kind of steer the conversation. We know what we're talking about today, but I want your questions. I want maybe another subject matter you want to see discussed on this show. Get those super chats and those questions into us now. Man like DJ here says, big up, Terry. Looking forward to another great live show. Interesting question on next Newcastle manager. Seems Bruce will be sacked this week and his assistant will be in charge for the Spurs match. You are absolutely right. It's going to be very. I'm just going to do something to my camera. One sec. I just want to zoom out a little bit. There we go. That's better. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do. Indeed, there is no doubt about it. Antonio Conte is being linked with this move. Conversations will happen in the coming days with Antonio Conte's camp. I believe what they're doing with Antonio Conte is they're testing the water for the deal, essentially. They're going to present their plan, their time frame, the money they believe they're going to be able to invest. And I think they want to test the appetite of Antonio Conte. Is he willing to be part of a project that is maybe going to take 3 to 4 years until they become genuine top 4 contenders? Is there something in the pipeline with a couple of lucrative deals that not even the experts are expecting, and that time frame to actually accelerate faster? I think that's what Antonio Conte's got to weigh up. What you won't have the problem with at this club is an Inter Milan situation of a good squad being built and then it being taken apart because of financial problems. I think that's something that he wants to guard against. I still don't personally think Antonio Conte will be back to the Premier League under the guise of Newcastle. I don't think that'll be his next job. I don't necessarily think anybody else is going to come in and take him away from Newcastle. Arteta and Ollie don't seem close to being sacked at this moment in time, and Tottenham will stick with Nuno until at least the end of the season. So I don't think it'll be in the middle of the season that happens. But it's definitely going to be interesting, DJ. Great point you just raised there around who and what is going to happen with this managerial thing. Graham Potter is now being linked to the job, and I do think a manager like a Graham Potter to help build your new footballing philosophy is actually such for me, a fast step away from Antonio Conte. So I think it really depends on the kind of football they want to play, the kind of ethos they want to build at the football club. And a lot of Newcastle fans that I've spoken to kind of feel Antonio Conte would be too soon for them, in the same way that Pep at the beginning of Man City's growth would have been too soon for them. So you could even argue that when it comes to Liverpool under FSG, if they'd have gone to Jurgen Klopp from day one, would they have yielded the success they have? Who knows? Because there was a lot to build up from the calamity under Hicks and Gillette. So I completely understand why they would talk to Antonio Conte. Not particularly sure that they're going to get that done, that over the line. We have a poll currently running on this stream. Make sure, by the way, you smash the like button. You share this now. There's over 500 of you watching, so we should be on 500 likes. You should be supporting the terrace, so give that a smash. 59% of you think that if Conte returns to the Premier League, he will go to Newcastle United. 30% say Man United. Only 4% and 7% respectively for Arsenal and Tottenham. And I think that's a fair breakdown. I think Antonio Conte also has to weigh that up in his mind as well. Whose jobs elsewhere look precarious? Maybe he's been sounded out for a potential Man United job and thinks, I might just wait. You know, not taking the Newcastle job now doesn't mean I can't get it in the future. So, yeah, we'll see what happens in that space, but it's certainly going to be interesting indeed. In terms of the transfer stories today, we saw Tarkowski linked to Newcastle yesterday, which I thought was absolutely a brilliant move. Tarkowski, we've seen Anthony Martial. I think Anthony Martial, I've seen Tarkowski, I've seen Jesse Lingard. Wilfried Zaha was a name that I saw mentioned. I spoke to a journalist about yesterday. Wilfried Zaha is a potential target. Conor Gallagher is another one who's having a very, very good time so far at Crystal Palace on loan from Chelsea. Chelsea have got a plethora of attacking options, and whether or not he's going to get regular game time at Chelsea remains to be seen. If Timo kicks on and Lukaku does what Lukaku's meant to do, which most predict he will, it's going to be hard for Conor Gallagher to get into that Chelsea team. It's another great buy. You sort of suddenly look at that. Just imagine that. You buy Zaha, Lingard, Martial, Gallagher, Tarkowski in one window. Say that's the summer window done. That's amazing. You throw in like a little Max Aarons in this January. You throw in, a Lamptey, a Max Aarons, as I've mentioned. You maybe look for maybe one of the best central midfielders you can find in that ballpark. Yuri Tillemans is linked. I don't believe he hasn't signed that new deal yet. He might want Champions League football, though. But there are a number of... You suddenly look at that and go, that's a really good squad already. So maybe they can entice those bigger and better managers a little earlier than we thought. Strip Bear here says, Conte will be boss. Imagine them all shook. Keep Ollie. Listen, Antonio Conte, I feel like he's one of the most underrated football managers in the world. I don't know the exact stats, so I'm going to get these slightly wrong. I don't know this off by heart. But I read that something like of the last 9 seasons that he's managed a full league campaign, he's won the title in like 7 or 8 of them or something. It's ridiculous rate of return for winning titles. The one thing he's never had is he's never been backed in the sense of continuously backed. He'll get like what he wants in the beginning, but then something always seems to go wrong. He's not a great guy when it goes wrong, by the way. If he doesn't get his own way, I don't think he's a particularly good guy. In relation to he won't take it on the chin. He'll leave, he'll quit, he'll walk out, he'll get himself sacked, whatever kind of turn of phrase you want to use. But it will certainly be interesting if he comes in. Absolutely big up Strip Bear for that super chat. Keep them super chats coming if you've got any questions. Would love to know what you're thinking and you're feeling. Gallagher, Cobham products, of course, he's good, is what Marvu's got to say. Buying the best of the rest won't make them challenge. But they're not buying I get your point. Newcastle at this stage are not buying the best players from the biggest teams. It isn't going to happen. Those clubs are simply not going to allow, especially teams in the top 4. They're not going to allow that to happen. Man United are not going to sell them Marcus Rashford. They're not going to sell them Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw. Chelsea are not going to let them have Reece James or Mason Mount or Jorginho. So they've got to go for that next echelon down. But actually, it's about building a squad to begin with. Because let's just say between January and the summer, let's just say they bought Max Aarons, Basuma, Conor Gallagher, Anthony Martial, Jesse Lingard, Tarkowski, and Tyrone Mings. I'm just throwing some names out there. Suddenly you've built like quite a good base. What you may then do the following summer is go, right, we're not going to buy 5, 6, 7 players this time. We're going to buy 4 or 5 players, but we're going to get 3 good, like 60, 70 million pound players in. That's what we're going to spend it on. And with the right manager there, who knows? I mean, you've got to think of this. Look what Graham Potter's doing with this Brighton team. Imagine you threw into that Brighton team a couple of more prolific goal scorers and more strength in depth, a bit more speed. Imagine what he could get that team doing. It could be amazing. It really, really could. It really, really could. Actually, I was a Newcastle fan before United, actually. I don't know, what do you mean you switched teams? Nelson, you switched teams. Oh, you switched football clubs. Come on, Nelson. How? That's not allowed. I know that we've become quite lax as fans. People wear other clubs' shirts now. We love other people's players. But surely there is sanctity and there is a togetherness in you only support one. You should only really support one team, really. If you've got an international team you support because of some family affinity or you live there, I can kind of get it. But you should have one team in one country. You know, no more than 2 teams globally. You can't change, Nelson. No, you can't change, Nelson. Nelson, my bro, you can't do that, my brother. If Newcastle is going to be as rich as everyone expects, why would they buy Martial? Because they're not as rich as everybody expects. There is again, the media doesn't educate you enough on the actual financial makeup. So the financial experts have done interviews, but these articles are not pushed. These articles are not spoken about on the chat shows, the TV shows, the big YouTube channels. They're just all ignored. I sat there and watched 3 videos this week on 3 of the biggest football channels out there, and they went into no detail over exactly how much money can and can't be pumped in, how long it's going to take for the club to build up its finances, when they can start spending colossal money, not just good money in the modern day game. None of them brought it up. None, not one. It was just the richest club in the world. The owner's got 300 billion. We're going to compete. It's like, slow your horse. You know what I mean? Hold your horses, Billy boy. Hold your horses. They're going to be rich, but it's going to take them time to build up those finances. The only way they accelerate it quicker is if they're able to get through the FFP rules, huge lucrative sponsorship deals, but they will be heavily scrutinized. But we will see. We will see. Let's see some more of these comments coming through. It's fine. It's fine to do once in a lifetime, but flip-flopping like you are is so bad. I have no idea what you're talking about. Were you talking to me or Nelson? I don't understand that comment, my bro. Be a bit more specific, please. He's not a true fan. He can't do that. You back your team through good and bad. I'm gonna say something now, Paul, and I'm gonna say something that might even be a little bit controversial. I even think we're going to see some social media content creators in the coming years change football clubs. They're going to change football clubs, but in a covert kind of way. What they're going to do is they're going to find the perfect time to denounce their love for their club. It will be because of the owners, because of the fan base, because of maybe a kind of a pseudo-moralistic reason. I can't support that club anymore. Then they'll leave it a certain period of time. And I almost feel like they're then going to start to support another club. But they will give a reason, distance themselves, and then start kind of talking about and supporting another club. Especially if the club they support starts to become less and less relevant in the coming years in title races, transfer markets and content about that club becomes harder. I can legitimately see people doing it and finding a kind of segue into doing that. They might be, they might claim to be so I was always an Arsenal fan, but you know what? The Cronkies have killed my love for the club. I was a Man United fan, but the Glazers have just killed my love for the club. The way Man United fans treat me online, I'm not happy with it. So I'm kind of stepping away. I can't love a club that doesn't love me. That I really do think. I really do think we may see some content creators, whether they're Instagrammers, TikTokers, YouTubers. Some are going to do it. I legitimately think. And the reason I say that is because it's not a new thing. We're just going to see it now. I have a friend, when I moved to Manchester, and I always remember this day because I moved to Manchester as a young man from London, moved to Manchester. It's a big day for me. I was like very young, late teens. And the day after I moved, this guy, like I was living with one of my mates, and his friend came. So I've got tickets. Like my dad and my brother are not coming to Old Trafford. Do you fancy coming to Old Trafford? And I believe we played Newcastle in the league. So I went with him. One of my first experience of going to Old Trafford whilst living in Manchester. It's a very different experience to traveling up. Went to the game, had a good few drinks, had a bit of food, had a great day. Met some of his friends. Terry's moved to Manchester, making feel at home. Took a few numbers, like built out like my social group. It's a really good day. Anyway, long story short, about 4 years ago, I was seeing pictures of him on Facebook in a Man City shirt. And he was legit trying to convince me that Man City's always been his team. I'm like, bruv, you literally took me to Old Trafford. And he went, no, my brother and my dad were. I just used to go to games sometimes. I was like, you're lying, because I remember the conversations. You're a Man United fan. He's literally flip-flopped and changed clubs. I grew up with a friend of mine called Jason, who was the Newcastle fan as a kid. And then when Newcastle had stopped, he then moved to being a Liverpool fan. He then moved to being a Chelsea fan. Again, denies it. But we've pulled out pictures from like school trips and that when man had Newcastle shirts on. Oh, don't show no one on socials. I'm like, all right, I won't. But you changed. So I legitimately think people are going to do it. But if they're like say they're a popular TikToker, 80, 100,000 followers, their followers will let them get away with it because their followers like them. It'd be like, no, I understand why, bruv. I understand why. They're horrible to you. They don't want you at the ground, or they slag off your content. I get why you've done that. You're neutral now. You're basically Switzerland. And then when you're Switzerland, you can side with whoever you want. And then if Newcastle suddenly start becoming really good, it'll be, I might just I'm going to do a bit of content on them. And then it will be, do you know what? After doing content as a neutral, like when somebody falls in love with a work colleague and they're not meant to, it was like, I had no plans to fall in love with my PA. I was dedicated to my wife, to my family, and to my home. But through working together for many days, spending time away and getting to know her deeply, I have fallen in love. It's not a plan. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to hurt anybody. But I am leaving my wife of 35 years for a 21-year-old PA. I didn't mean to. It's not like it isn't because she's young or anything like that. This is it, right? That's what people are going to do to their clubs for Newcastle. We're going to watch it. We haven't noticed it before because it's the first power shift that's happened live on socials. Legit's going to happen. And he'll be like, Terry called this, Terry called this. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It will happen. And the reason it's going to happen, we've already seen those it's happened before, but those early signs. Oh, where other clubs' kits? Oh, I support 2 clubs. Nelson in the comments here. I changed when Newcastle became rubbish to Man United. He just admitted that. I've seen a few tweets from people recently. When I was growing up, I was a fan of Newcastle. Then how do you support Liverpool now? I was a fan of one club. I blame the fathers. I blame dads. This is a dad's job. It's a dad's job. Legit. Yeah, I've seen it happen. And also, the reason it'll happen even more now is you have more people that support players over clubs. And they'll switch. Anyone, like literally now, anyone that you think, do a little test on your TLs, right? Screenshot the accounts of people that you think are susceptible to change. Send them a little DM or whatever. And maybe check. in a couple of years. That's a lot of effort. You're probably not going to want to do it. But like, go check in a couple of years, and I almost guarantee you'll be like, oh, they've changed. I did it to a few accounts that were like Jose out accounts. They were Man United fans, and then he went to Tottenham, and then they were Tottenham fans, and they were Jose out Tottenham fans, and it was like, you just don't like Jose, so that's what you're doing on socials. Legit, it's going to happen. I can't wait for the first turncoat. I can't wait for the excuses. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. Under FFP, Newcastle can spend 190 million in January. 5 players I would sign would be Van der Beek, Kesse, Coutinho, Tarkowski, Max Aarons. Total spend as per latest market value, 50 million. So great shit. Yeah, 190 million in Jan. But remember, that will then eat into the summer market as well, potentially. But it doesn't really matter when they spend it. It's irrelevant that. They've got a 3-year period to spend certain levels of cash. So you're right. Kesse and Van der Beek are the hardest out of all of them to get. The others, it's a step up in terms of the direction. The other two are going to want Champions League football. Difficult, but why not try? What's wrong, though, my friend, with your calculation is you're not factoring in clubs increasing their prices. There is market value and there is sell price. And these two things do not always compute or work hand in glove. Example would be, take it out of football. My house has a market value. I don't want to move out. I don't want to sell it. So you're going to have to, right now, you're going to have to offer me above market value for me to consider doing it. I don't want to move out of this house at all. But if someone turns up now and goes, there's £100,000 over the market price, I'm accepting the £100,000. I'll have to work out what moving into a new house is going to cost me in stamp duty, legal fees, because I don't want to eat too much into that. Maybe I say, actually, it's 130 mil because I've got to cover myself in other areas, right? But it's that I could walk away with a profit of maybe 60, 70,000 pounds of cash being made overnight. I move into another house, maybe I pump that money in and my mortgage is then lower. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but you get my point. If Man United don't want to sell, they can drive that price up of him. Tarkowski and Max Aarons, the price is going to slowly increase. Kesse, of course, is available for a free, I believe, in the summer, so a little bit easier to get done. But great shout in terms of individuals. Those kind of signings straight into Newcastle with the right manager. You're already looking at a team that's going to start competing for European places. Great shouts, though, my friend. Great shouts indeed. Maria here says, my dad doesn't like football. It's my nana who supported Spurs. For better or worse, I will support my team. Changing teams is wrong and immoral. Do you know what it is? Yeah, listen, and of course, some people's football inspirations are, of course, not their fathers. I was being a little bit flippant with I blame the dads. But yes, I blame the parents would be a better turn of phrase. But I stand by it. Like we are going to see that people are not brought up right when it comes to football now. This honestly, like, there are little things that I look at and I'm like, the tribalism. I got called out the other day because they said there's too much tribalism on my channel, fans backing their clubs too much and being biased. And I'm like, if we remove bias from fans, football is, forget the Super League, forget billionaire state owners, forget oil money, forget lucrative sponsors, forget everything we argue about. If you remove bias and tribalism from football, it actually dies. Absolutely dies. A death instantly. My thing is this. Be a fan. Everybody's got to stop trying to be a pundit. Stop trying to be this uber balanced, always unbiased, always fair person when it comes to football, because too much of that is boring. So why a lot of content creation for me has become boring, because it's like I see generally, unless your team's doing well, I see Man United fans pandering to everybody. And there's times when you praise our clubs, but then it's like, God, stick it to them, man. They just lost. Stick it to them. Oh, why am I going to banter Chelsea? They're in a better position than us. I'm like, oh my God, you're killing the game, bruv. Boring. But there we go. Boring. They are very boring. Very boring. Absolutely. And I want to speak. I'm going to share the link now if you want to call in and have your say. We'll take some calls on the show. I do want to speak about Ollie as well. I do want to speak about Ollie because been slammed by Danny Blin in the media. And I totally get why. I totally understand why. I totally get that he isn't good enough. But I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of everyone's saying the same thing now. It's all about individual brilliance. There is no system. And then there'll be other articles the next day saying Cristiano Ronaldo damages the system. I would just like that debate. So when you get two pundits say there is no system, and then you get two pundits say Ronaldo damages the system, I want to see those two pundits go head to head and debate. Well, are they breaking a system? If they're breaking a system, then Ronaldo can't. Then there is a system; it just doesn't work very well. If there is no system and it's individuals, then Ronaldo isn't damaging anything. He's just not performing. Which is it? I just want to. Again, I get kind of not weirded out. That's not the right word for it, but I get a little bit bored of contradictory statements about the same team. They have a system, they don't have a system. They're too coached, they're uncoached. There's too much freedom, not enough freedom. Almost in the same arguments. In terms of not being good enough, you're not going to hear an argument from me. I don't think that he is. He doesn't get, his system doesn't get the best out of these players. I don't think he communicates it well enough with them to make it happen. That's my thought and my feeling. I'd love to know what you all think and feel in relation to Ollie being slammed by Danny Blin. By the way, Danny Blin, a few people are asking in the comments, like, who is he? Was he any good? Yeah, he was. He's very, very good. Very, very good indeed. What were some of the words that he used? I wanted to read it here. He goes, what is the identity of this team? What is his plan? It's exactly what is missing with Solskjaer. There is no tactical plan. His team are not able to put pressure on their opponents like City do. It does not always have to be full pressing, but I would say any of it. Sorry. It does not always have to be full pressing, but we don't see any of it. Anything at United's team is based on individual qualities of players. They are those qualities, and it often gets a result for the team, but is never a team result. See, I don't agree with that in its entirety, because it's just the consistency of our performances. It's the intensity with Man United. When we go a goal down, all the things he's asking for, we do, but we don't do it before we're a goal down. So if it's about individuals, they can do it at any time. Why do they have to go a goal down? It's the intensity that Ollie gets us to play with that's the issue. We don't play with enough speed. So you can call that the system issue. You can call that a tactic. You can call that a mentality approach. But I certainly get, exactly where he's coming from with it. But the overarching thing is this. I'm not going to argue with Danny Blin over the nitty gritty of what he's saying, because I agree with him overtly. There we go. Nathan Hill says, I'm under the impression that we can spend something in the region of 190 million before next summer due to the way Fat actually run the club. We'll see, I guess. Yeah, I think it's about 190 million. I think what you also have to understand as well, I mean, I've read some different things. You have to also look at the increasing player salary as well. That will eat into some of that, because remember, net spend isn't real. It doesn't exist. It's the only true net spend at a club is your profit and loss. And you will have a percentage of your turnover that you'll be able to spend. I think what's really going to determine it, Nathan, is these new deals that are being lined up. Shirt sponsors, stadium sponsors, arm sponsors, shin pad sponsors, whoever. That's where the money's going to come in from. And if some of them are more lucrative than anticipated, there are talks of 20 million for this, 30 million for that. If they're actually coming in at 50 and 60 millions, and that gets signed off under FFP guidelines, then sky's the limits, mate. You'll accelerate that even quicker than anticipated, no doubt about it. Josh here says, so you say the system doesn't get the best out of these players. Every attacking player, Bruno, Rashford, Greenwood, Martial, Pogba, So you say the system doesn't get the best out of his players. Every attacking player, Bruno, Rashford, Greenwood, Martial, Pogba, Shaw, look good in the system. That's why I don't totally agree. We don't get the very best out of our players, because I believe our team is good enough to challenge for the Premier League, and he doesn't get the consistency of performances out of this team. The difference between Ollie and a world-class manager is actually a fine margin. It's a fine margin, and I believe it's more communication. I believe a better communicator and somebody that can instill a higher intensity into our game. So we move the ball slightly faster and we run a little bit harder. And I'm talking in the press and in defensive shapes. Those two things. Where we're really being caught out as Man United is we pass the ball too slowly at times. We don't press enough, and we don't get back into our defensive shape quick enough after losing the ball. Those things, two of those things essentially evolve around running and intensity. And if those three things improve, Man United would improve. And they're subtle things. I actually believe I'm not a football person in the sense of I'm not a trained coach. But I think from where we are to get that system working, you're talking about subtle changes in approach. Let's do some more of these comments. I'm going to do some calls here. First on the show, we're going to get Abdul on to have his say with us this morning. Make sure you're smashing that like and that share button. Get your super chats in as well. Abdul's here with me now. What are you saying, mate?
Hello, Terry.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Yeah, I'm very, very well. What do you want to say, my friend?
No, I just want to comment on what Blind's comments, because I do vastly agree with what he's saying, because one thing that I've been analyzing when it comes to United over the last year or so, because it's mainly only been the last year that there's been this tendency for you guys, for the team to go down, for them to react and then come back and win a game. Like, it was insane last season. Like, almost every game, the team had to go down for them then to react.
Yeah.
And the games that they actually dropped points in were the games where none of the teams scored. Like, it would end in a 0-0 because there was no reaction. You know what I mean?
Or a late goal, like the Villa game the other week.
Yeah.
And there was, and even then, we had a chance to equalize with a penalty. Do you know? And do you know what? I agree with you. And this is why I largely agree with what people say, where the system, I don't believe there isn't a system. I just don't believe we apply it correctly from the beginning. Because as you've said, when we go a goal down, suddenly we start moving the ball faster. There's more intensity. We create more chances. And I don't think that's because of individuals. Because if individuals could just do that at any point, do it before we go a goal down.
I have a theory on that.
What's your theory?
My theory is, once the players come out, they play to what they are told. They are adherent to the system, to the tactics that they've been taught in training, that they have been brought out on the pitch to do. But once they go down, they then go they play more freely, because it's an emergency, you know. Because let's be honest, every time those goals you score to win games, once you're gonna go down, it's very rarely team goals. It's most often deflected goals, long shots, or individual brilliance. Like, how often do you see a late winner, which it often is, being like a team goal? It's very rarely a team goal. So I do agree with what Blind says, but yet again, Ollie, he does seem to have a habit of turning the form around.
I do. I kind of listen. I don't think your theory is too far wrong. I kind of believe this. I believe there is a system. I believe it's a very unattractive system. So when people say identity, and I'm going to start asking this question more, I'm going to start posing this question to fans that are happy with how they play. You know, what's your identity? Explain your system to me. I still believe everybody would just go, unless it has a name, tiki-taka, Gegenpress, whatever. Like, it's almost one of these things. Once it gets a name, and the name is, I like that, then it kind of catches on. I just think, for me, it's an intensity thing. And
Gary Neville made a really good point. He said, you guys are constantly being counterattacked by the smaller teams, and you have to be attacking to get counterattacked. So clearly, the system is attacking football, because otherwise you won't be able to get counterattacked.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's what I say when people say we're not an attacking team.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, you're just hating for hating's sake now. You're not actually assessing the tactical element of the football match. But it's like, if you look at, say, Liverpool when it comes to defending as an example, and I'm actually going to try and I'm going to do this, but I can't put the sound on. I almost want to try. I need to find a clip of where Liverpool are like being like counter-attacked as an example, but how quickly they will get back into their shape here. I'm just looking at a clip here before I show it. Like they can be caught out, and then how quickly everybody tries to get back as an example, right? So I think I found a good enough clip to show it. I mean, they probably should have scored from here. So the point I'd make is this, right? So I'm going to try and put this onto the screen. I can't obviously show the footage because I'll get myself banned off of the internet, right? But I'm gonna kind of try and share this screen. This is from Y-Scout. Okay, so let me put this up on my screen. This is a quick example without me going into doing a real body of work here. But you see this. This was Liverpool in the dying moments against Manchester City. Yeah. They're trying to do something. They then get caught out of the ball, and actually, I can't show the footage. I'm not even going to drag the thing. I'll make it quick. They then counter-attacked, as you can and then there's an opportunity in the box here. They get the block on it, right? But look how many players are back. Look how many players work themselves back. Go and watch Manchester United, and this was in the 90th minute. It's even better if you watch it in the earlier stages of the game, right? If you watch Man United, we're getting counter-attacked after 10 minutes, and 5-6 players are not busting the gut to get back. They're not getting into defensive positions. I've seen some other footage of Liverpool. They were 2-0 up against Leeds.
Yeah.
And we're playing against 10 men. And when they were losing the ball or Leeds were attacking, if you go and look at their defensive shape, they were dropping into a flat back 5 and keeping that shape. Yeah, exactly. And it's good coaching, a good system, but also the players have to work hard to maintain it. Man United players only start working hard when we're losing.
Exactly.
That's the difference. And for me, it's
a wake-up call.
Yeah, massive one. And it's only when I sit here studying this stuff, because Y-Scout's it's the best stats website in the world, because for every stat, there is video footage to watch it. So it's stats and eye test together. And you can literally sit here and watch. There is literally an option that where I can watch every single counter-attack that Man United have suffered.
Yeah.
Every single counter-attack that we have suffered in the space of the last 5 years is on here. And you can kind of look at it, and it's like, I actually can't believe, like legitimately, sometimes I look at this and I'm like, I can't believe how bad we are at this, right? So I'll give you a prime.
But even against Villarreal, against Villarreal, you will constantly gain counter-attack, and you're very vulnerable on the counter-attack. But even Varane got done on the counter-attack. Like, there is something wrong, because if it wasn't for De Gea, it would have been 2 or 3 goals on the counter-attack.
No, I agree. Like, I just got one here, right? As an example, I'll put this on the screen. This is, again, I haven't got the right ones because I've just done this really, really, really quickly. So people have to excuse me here. So this is from the Everton game. We hadn't conceded yet. You can see we're in the attack, right? We're forward. Yeah. We lose the ball. I'm just going to skip this forward, right? We're then being counter-attacked, as you can see. Actually, I can't show the footage. Look, they're in the box. They clear it, but look at the difference. Look how many players we have back. We've only managed to get 4 players back. They've got 5. You go back and look at the Liverpool counter-attack. They got like 7-8 players back in the 90th minute. That's a work rate issue. That's legitimately a work rate issue, and a defense and a shape thing. It's like, and we're committing. And Man United, we're getting caught on counter-attacks. Look at the Wolves game. 5 minutes into the game, why are we over-committing 5 minutes into a game? It's crazy. It really is crazy, bro. Great call, mate.
Can I ask you a question?
Question.
I just find this very bizarre, because it's about the whole the United community, especially the creators. Like, one thing I don't understand is I listen to a lot of different content creators on YouTube. I'm not gonna name any, but especially like ones that they share their opinions, and I hear a lot of creators be very critical of Oli, yet they don't seem to be Oli out. And I also hear some content creators that are very defensive about Oli, even though had it been another manager, they definitely wouldn't have been this defensive. So I just don't understand why so many content creators are very hesitant about being Oli out, because I can't see why that would be, because everything they say is basically, I'm Oli out. But they're not Oli out.
Well, because again, I don't sit with the Oli out group, because I find some of the things they say really distasteful towards a legend. So there's that. However, if you just criticize, rant, scream, say he's not good enough, but don't say you want him sacked, you leave the door open. So if Ollie turns it round, you can always, it becomes, it's like a legal matter of like deniability. You could say, well, I never said he had to be sacked. I never said I wanted him sacked. I never said he wouldn't turn it round. They'll go to a point where they don't quite say what they think because it leaves the door open for them coming back in. There'll be other content creators that are building relationships with the football club, so they won't go too far in. I think you just look at it. You know, I don't know who you're talking about, but I'm going to say that
but there are many. They say like XYZ. Everything he's doing is wrong, but I'm not Ollie out, and I just don't understand it. Like, is there any gain in not? You know
I have no idea why they wouldn't do that. Barring, as I say, it could be they're building relationships with the club. It could be they're building relationships with journalists or agents that are close to people. So it's one of those things. It does. I remember once when I was working with a particular company, we had a big story about a player, and we had someone that it was quite a controversial thing, and we were going to interview somebody over the allegations. And then it turned out that someone that worked for our company's brother cousin was part of the management team of that player. So we were told we couldn't interview the person. The story was shut down. And I was only like, I wasn't going to be the person interviewing. I wasn't heavily involved. I was kind of learning about the industry. And I'm like, so we're going to suppress a story because the family members like connected to it. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to run that. We damage into so-and-so's cousin. I'm like, I'm not really comfortable with that. It's a really big talking point. Everybody's talking about it, but we're not.
About protecting themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was an example. But, you know, if the thing is, if you're a content creator and it's like, oh, look, I'm making really good, say, I don't know, you cover Newcastle and you're getting really good inside tracks into the ground. You're getting to go to the training ground. I do understand it from a business perspective for you to not overtly attack the club because you're going to burn your relationship. And if you burn your relationship, you're going to lose money. And what you'll find, bro, is that some people, money will always prevail and they'll always put that above saying exactly what they think. Others just want to leave the door open. Others just want to be able to say, I was never Ollie out. I don't really care. Like, I'm happy to change. I'm happy to say I think he should be sacked. And then if he turns out to be good enough to win things, I'll say I was wrong. Some people have a real problem with saying the words I was wrong. They're very weak people because you know, admitting your mistakes is a strength. It isn't a weakness, but there we go. Listen, great call, Abs. Top man. Speak to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really good call. Joycey here says, it seems unlikely that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be replaced considering his staff are being given new contracts and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has a contract until 2024. You're bored like him. Totally agree with that sentiment and thought process there. Terry, I laugh when people said individual brilliance and no system. You can't create that many good chances with no system. I think we need intensity. Josh, it is what you're saying is bang on. If you look at Manchester United in the last calendar year, now this is a fact. We produce around between 32 and 40 positional attacks per game. You can then, again, I'll share this on the screen. I'm going to press the play button first of all. So we produce the positional attacks. So let me just share my screen again. So this here shows you, this is on Wire Scout. So this shows you the positional attacks, counter attacks, crosses, penalties, accurate crosses, offensive duels per game that we attempt. You can then click on this here, and I'm going to take it off the screen because it literally plays clips straight away, and I can't play the clips here. But you then click on this. And then what it does, it brings up every single positional attack in that game. So you can then go through it. And this is how people say there's no patterns. You then get to sit here and watch and go, okay, well, I can watch every single positional attack from that game for Man United. Literally all of them. I've got to keep pressing that, otherwise this footage will play. You can watch every single positional attack. How United work it. Do they press? Excuse me. My point is they definitely do have a system that they attack in. Although they wouldn't produce so many positional attacks. You then start doing cross references and comparing it to other teams, and it's fairly similar. It's just fluidity and movement is sometimes off, but that's just me, and I'm very fortunate to get to look at that. Not everybody does, but there we go. That's why when I hear something, so if someone says to me, if I hear a pundit say United don't do enough of X, we don't do enough of Y, I'll go check it out. And everything is on here, legitimately everything. You can go to the indexes, and this is one of the things I look at. So you can go to the, average passes whilst in possession. You can look at match tempo as an example. So how good is our our match tempo in games. This is one I look at here. A lot of passes allowed per defensive action as an example. You can look in a game and say, okay, when did we? So as you can see, this is typical Man United. We become, look at this. This actually proves it. We start off slowly, and as the game draws on, and after we conceded, then we become the best. Then we had the best moments in the game of pressing for the ball once we conceded. Once we conceded, then we started pressing harder. Is this a pattern we'll see more regularly? We'll go to the Villarreal game as an example. Again, there was a drop off after we got towards the back end of the game, but that's because they sat back. Again, we started poorly and we got better throughout the course of the game. Where was the intensity from the beginning of the football match? Where was the intensity from the beginning of the football match in relation to that? If we go to let's go to a game that the Wolves, where we weren't great. Let's look at it here and see what that looked like. Again, let me scroll this screen down. Sorry, let me go back onto Wolves here as an example. We look at this again, started slowly in that game. Do you remember we were getting massacred, improved, flatlined, and then in the last final pushes of the game, we got better. Now, this level here of 6, this is where we should be at the start of the game. Start off very, very well, press hard, create our chances, try and score, level out to save some energy in the middle, and then push later on in the game. It's just crazy. So again, all these things are worth studying. And then when you click on these, you can then go into them and watch them all. You can then click on this thing here. So if you then go to the overall view of Man United, you've got all these things here: penalties gained, attacking throw-ins, defensive style of play. There is the attacking style of play. So you click on this here, and I need to pause this straight away again. But this shows you all the different kind of stuff. This literally, they detail every single clip, and it goes back up to 5 years. It's such a good piece of kit. Legitimately such a good piece of kit. Theo's on the show next to have his say. What are you saying, Theo? That's someone trying to get the show with a copyright strike. Nice one, Theo. I'm going to ban you there from the channel. Nice attempt. Top man. Just trying to get... Look at that. People trying to damage the show whilst live on the air. Anyway, there we go. Do some more of your comments. Some people are mad, legitimately mad. Where are we looking here? Nelson was making me laugh. Nelson, you're funny. Terry, I remember the goal we conceded in Istanbul last year. That summed it all up. No system, no plan, no vibes. Just vibes is what you've said there. Potter can come to Man United and do 100% better than what Ollie is doing right now. Listen, I'd love to see him given an opportunity. Legitimately, that would make me excited. It would make me very excited indeed. Very, very excited indeed to come and to see what would happen with that. Yeah, you're right, Ryan. You're absolutely right. Listen, everyone that's tuned in, thank you. We've got a big debate show tonight at 8:30. Who is the best young player in the Premier League? Got some really good guests that are going to come on. It's going to be a really good debate tonight. 8:30 live on the Football Terrace. Make sure you are there. The way we've done it is a little different this show. All our panelists are coming on with a player they are repping, a player they are backing. So it should make for a very good, interesting and heated debate. Make sure you smash that like button before you leave today. Subscribe to the Football Terrace. Until next time, take care. Good.